give it up to the youth. Loyal to the squad if we win or we lose. It is in our veins that orange and the green when it's through and through. Cause you know we want it, your squad versus ours, now they don't really want it. Our pedigrees deep with pros in abundance, get ready for the storm cause the hurricane's coming. Let's give it up to the youth, loyal to the squad if we win or we lose. It is in our veins that orange and the green when it's through and through. Cause you know we want it, your squad versus ours, now they don't really want it. Our pedigrees deep with pros in abundance, get ready for the storm cause the hurricane's coming.
What's good, Miami Hurricanes fans? All right, the Miami Hurricanes, looks like the transfer portal for the Miami Hurricanes is heating up like crazy. And we just locked down 2 transfers, one from Vanderbilt and one from Nebraska. Starting with Vanderbilt's cornerback, Jadarius Richards, and Ajay Allen, the running back from Nebraska. Now I'm gonna start with Jadarius real quick. Post 24/7. He is a modern day quarterback. Miami adds more depth to the cornerback room with depth and versatility, with something that Miami haven't had in the last couple of years. Now we already know that DJ Ivory and Tyreek Stevenson already left, but knowing how the defense performed last year, Miami definitely need cornerbacks that could play one-on-one, a little bit more zone, be able to have an immediate impact, especially when it comes down to dealing with the passing game. As quarterbacks become more and more precise, and with wide receivers coming more explosive, they become a lot of offenses doing more dynamic stuff. You need very versatile corners and safeties that be able to switch around and follow these guys, because if you look at college football last year, there was a lot of big plays. And Miami gave up a lot of big plays. You know what I'm saying? Miami gave up a ton of big plays. They gave up some to Alabama. I mean, not Alabama, but they gave up some to North Carolina. They even Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss. All of these teams, you know, Miami has to get back into playing that elite football, because you got to think about it. How Georgia won their national championship. They did it on defense, but they also made offensive plays. Now, if you look at the Ohio State and Georgia game, C.J. Stroud and Ohio State had a chance to beat them. They was putting up points, but Georgia defense did enough just to secure the win for them. And Stetson Bennett just made plays. That's what you need for this Miami offense and defense this year. You need a quarterback like Tyler Van Dyke that could come in, give you big plays, but sustain drives. And then you need a defense that could be multi-dimension. So adding more cornerback to this room really is going to help Miami. It's going to help them tremendously. Now that means the cornerback room must feature different types of bodies, like I just described, with different skill sets, which I described, and try to contain the different ways of the passing game that can generate yards and points, which I described also. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very, very important for Miami to do this. Miami has to be able to have a defense that can make offenses score less. They have to put up more points. And I think, especially when you having that rematch against Texas A&M coming up, probably I think the second, third week of the season, then later on down the line, you got to face a Clemson team that if we was in the right frame, we could beat them. The chances to win this one division race this year is very, very important for Miami. I think Miami, by adding more, and it seems like they are on the cusp to add more talent on this roster, that it is beyond from this year and on up. So now Jadarius Richards on Monday, who he had entered the transfer portal from Vanderbilt, announcing his commitment to Miami per 27 Sports. He is lengthy, physical corner on the boundary. That's what you need. Somebody that's physical, lengthy, could get their hands in, could make tackles. He's 6'2", 197. He's primarily played as a true freshman at Vanderbilt as a big nickel. He had a total of 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack while missing only 2 tackles on the year. That's not bad. Miami now has added 4 cornerbacks via transfer portal. That means Riches, Devontae Brown, Terry Roberts, and Jaden Davis. Jaden Davis was the last that transfer. So, and the Hurricanes have now stacked competitive bodies and are capable of playing at various different types of cornerback roles: boundary corner, field corner, and nickel. And like I said, this is on the lines of what NFL defense is playing right now. This is on the line where you had teams like a Georgia, Alabama, you got LSU, you got all of these teams that is really playing multiple dimension roles. You know what I'm saying? So where like you teams might use a lot of tight end sets. Like Georgia, they use a lot of tight end sets. You know what I'm saying? Like they did, last year. And you're gonna play teams like that. You're gonna play teams that has shifty receivers. Especially like jet sweeps. You have wide receiver screens, bubble screens and all of this stuff like that. So you need fast, elite corners and physical corners that could do that and put a body on them. Here's a look at the players Miami can feature at each one of these spots and size they bring on the field. You got, like I said, Devontae Brown, his brother's there. He's 6'2", 185. Jadarius, 6'2", 187. Chris Graves, 6'1", 175. Damari Brown, 6'1", 180. You know what I'm saying? They're more like field corners. Not field corners, but boundary corners. Field corners, you're going to have Darryl Porter, 5'10", 185. Jaden Davis, 5'10", 180. Terry Roberts, 5'10", 180. Corey Couch, 5'10", 170. Malik Curtis, 5'10", 170. Robert Stanford, 5'10", 171. Then you got your nickel corners. Jaden Harris, 6 foot, 195. Then Terry Corey Couch, he also gonna play nickel, 5'10", 170. Even with Devontae Brown having a solid showing during the spring, Miami needed to add depth at that boundary corner spot, and Riches helps provide competition. Darian Brown is a talented upcoming freshman, but adding Riches helps alleviate any pressure they might have been for the true freshmen to have to come in and contribute immediately. That means that you don't have to have Damari Brown to come in right then. You got another guy that comes in and could contribute where Damari can still learn and get adapted more and get, especially if Miami has games where they're blowing out competition, you could easily bring Damari Brown in there where he could get some burn, he could get some field time, he could do this and he could do that. That will help him a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Now, does Miami cornerback room have a clear-cut shutdown corner? Probably not. But can they also have develop a shutdown corner? Yes, they can. In 2023, the cornerback room as talented as it ever been in 2020. Yes, it is. You got to give Mario Cristobal and this Miami Hurricane coaching staff. Now, it took a long time before they got all the coaches that they needed. But once they got them in there, you very well could see that how Miami has triggered and put pieces together, especially having, the right offensive coordinator, the right defensive coordinator to put players in places. Now, in 2023, this cornerback room is going to be stellar. It's going to be depth. There's going to be competition. People going to want playing time. They're going to really look to make a traditional impact. And to be honest with you, this all sets up for Miami when players leave and go to the NFL draft. Miami could be that team back how they was, having the most NFL #1 draft picks in the first round, competing with the Georgias, the Ohio States, and the Alabamas again. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be, and you got to think about it. This is going to help this is going to help Miami to deal with some of the ACC foes like the North Carolinas, the Florida States, where they struggle to beat these teams. Now they could put pressure on these teams. They could make sure that they the ones are being the better team that's going to be on the field. And if communication is going to be a great opportunity for Miami. If these guys can communicate well with the safeties in the back end and all the pieces come together, I do believe Miami will be one of the best defensive groups in the nation next year. This year coming up. So it's going to be exciting to see Miami football play out. Definitely, I will make sure I try to get to one of these games this year. I'm trying to do a whole lot more, and stuff like that. So definitely want to be around there. Now, going to the other commit. Miami's other potential commit. Miami add depth to the running back room by running back Ajay Allen. Now, Ajay Allen is another running back that came out of the transfer portal from Nebraska, and he also adds depth to this position group. To be honest with you, just like the cornerback room, Miami's running back room is probably the deepest we have seen in a long time. Remember when Miami was going, they running backs was going to the NFL, you always had somebody to step up right behind them. If it wasn't a Najee Davenport, if it wasn't a Edgerrin James, it wasn't a Clinton Portis or Willis McGahee, or Frank Gore, you always had depth there. You always had that next guy coming through. You know what I'm saying? And for the last few years, Miami just did not have that. They didn't have that. Like I said, the running back room is going to probably be the most physical position in football. And during the last 4 games, the Miami Hurricanes sustained a lot of injuries. They stayed a lot of injuries last year, where it was hard for Miami to keep any running back on the field or have any kind of great running or sustain a great running game. On top of that, with all the injuries that they have encountered at that moment in time, Miami definitely has really, really locked in on running backs this year, especially with true freshman Trevante Citizen, who was expected to be a contributor, sustaining a serious knee injury during his first scrimmage this year. Veteran running back Don Chaney Jr., who also was working his way back from injury last year, in 2021, sustained a hip injury that knocked him out of action until the final weeks of the season. And then you also had Jalen Knighton, who also got nicked up a whole lot. Henry Parrish got nicked up, but he was probably the most productive running back of all of the groups last year, because we know that Jalen Knighton, it was kind of, and then Thad Franklin, he never seemed to got going the way he need to, and you got to think most of the Knighton and Henry Parrish, they all under 200 pounds. Like I said, Franklin, he struggled, to impress the coaching staff in his practice habits. So there was a lot to going into last year running game last year. So now going into this season, now you got three scholarship running backs in a situation no college football program in the country can sustain, and and this is where the Hurricanes went out and added Lucas Stanley, who also played backup at UAB and was in the camp for Tuscaloosa College, wherever that is. And then in addition, they got Ajay Allen. Miami is not going to find themselves in that position again this year. You have to have depth at the running back room just in case injuries do come awry. Now, like I said, four-year junior Henry Parrish was probably the most productive running back out of the Miami group last year. He had 896 career snaps, 1,432 rushing yards, and 9 touchdowns. Then you have Don Chaney You know what I'm saying? He had 262 career snaps, 374 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns. Then you got Ajay Allen that just transferred, 73 career snaps, 33 rushes, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Trevon Citizen, no experience. Then you got Mark Fletcher, no experience. Christopher Johnson, no experience. And actually, I'm excited about these two right here. Chris Johnson Jr., we all know who his daddy is. And Mark Fletcher, I'm excited about these guys. Citizen, you know, we was after him for a while. We got him, but we have to see how he does. But I still think Miami is going to still add mixture to the running back room. Chris Johnson, Mark Fletcher, probably, and Henry Parrish. They are probably the 3 that I'm excited about because I love Henry Parrish, what he did last year. But Chris Johnson, I want to see that speed and that power from Mark Fletcher on the field. Miami now has a nice mix of different styles at running back. Miami features a couple of running backs that can excel in different visions of contact balance. That means Parrish and Allen, you know what I'm saying? A one cut back that has some size, Chaney. A couple of backs that can play north of 215 pounds, that's Citizen and Fletcher. And a back with elite home run hitting speed, that's Chris Johnson. I think also Miami should get another home run hit running back to go along with Chris Johnson, because now Miami could throw different types of running backs to you in there. You know what I'm saying? Where you able to, because if Miami offense takes off like I expected to take off this year, I think it's going to be very, very well. Now, with the addition of Allen, Miami has also added a running back that can give them offense at least 10 carries a game. Yeah, that's true. And you don't need to have a running back. I mean, 10 to 15 is nice. You don't have to have 20, 25, 30, a guy that's just running. You don't want to wear them down. You want them to stay fresh as much as possible. Allen was a trajectory to be an impact true freshman for the Huskies, generating 49 rushing yards and 11 carries against Oklahoma before he sustained a season-ending collarbone. But in that game, he averaged 3.9 yards rushing after contact and forced 2 missed tackles. And the one area Allen needs to improve in is his 4 games was his pass protection, a common area for young backs to work on. According to Pro Football Focus, Allen allowed 2 quarterback pressures and 5 pass blocking snaps. As a senior at Novell High School in Louisiana, Allen rushed for over 2,000 yards and 34 touchdowns. Does Miami have a clear-cut number 1 running back in 2023? Question still remains. This is a question that remains to be seen, but there is also no denying the year over year, the running back room will be featuring better depth. And with that being said, I just think it's going to be great. I'm probably most likely. Now, I do want to read an article from one of my good friends, Alex Donald for Locked On Canes. If you haven't listened to him, be sure to tune over there. He always brings great content and keeping us update of everything that Miami Hurricanes football. Even if myself don't put out a video or any content on Miami football, I could always turn into Alex, you know what I'm saying, because he keeps it fresh and keeps it jiggy for us, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to you, my friend. And also, he always been a guest on my, he's been a guest a couple of times on my show, Canes on the Daily. So that's going to be good. Now, Alex did also say that he on his podcast, he broke down that, wide receiver Shamir Curtis from Reedy, California Community College. He's 6'1", 190 pounds. Said that Miami likes this guy very much. There's also some defensive tackles that Miami liked. Tawan Malone from out of Ole Miss from the recruiting class. Malone is 6'3", 315, and also he said that it would also help Miami to Miami's interior defensive rotation that lacks enough players and grit to play the short yardage game, in which Miami is still looking for depth. And that's what Mario Cristobal has said after doing the spring training, that Miami still is looking for that depth and everything like that. So be sure to look out for some of these guys that could be potential there. Now, he also had 10 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a sack, and 2 pass breakups the past season. He also is an excellent athlete and tremendous baseball player too. Sounds good. Now, another defensive lineman that also Miami could be looking at is Kaveh Rose from Louisiana Tech. He has 24 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks last fall. He also another big guy, at least 6'3", 303. So there are some potential feelings right there for that spot. So I think Miami is going to be able to, if they able to get these guys, their defense is going to have so much depth than never before. I mean, you could go back almost 3 to 4 years and see that Miami has not had depth like this, and especially now with everything. With Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator, he's going to implement a great system. And he also said, keep in mind, Canes have coaches on the staff from Bayou State, like offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson and Lance Guidry. So that could help propel some of them guys to come over. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about recruiting. Also at the prep level, you got receivers Ryan Wingo from St. Louis, Missouri University, and Jair Hawkins from Bradenton, Florida, IMG Academy, and Jeremiah Smith from Fort Lauderdale. So Wingo just visited Miami unofficially, and there's some good news about Hawkins and Smith. So I will keep listening to Alex Donald from Locked On Canes. Continue to follow that story. I will continue to follow that story. If anything break, I definitely will bring it to you. But I definitely right now love the way that the Miami Hurricanes is doing and what they're trying to do right now by adding more depth, more rotational players on the offense and defensive side. Now, we could get some more depth on the offensive line and add more depth to the wide receiver room. I think we'll be in a very, very elite position to compete at a high level next year. Like I said, I think Miami could win at least 10 games next year. I give them 2 losses. I don't know where them 2 losses may come from, but I do feel that if we could get past some of these guys, it could be very, very promising for this Miami Hurricane team. But until then, this is your boy LiveWire Sports Entertainment. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. And anytime I drop a hardcore video for you, hit that notification bell. I'll keep you updated on everything from the Washington Commanders, Miami Hurricanes, Atlanta Braves, Chicago Bulls. That's my niche. You know what I'm saying? All 4 of my teams and anything around sports in general. But until then, this your boy, and I'm out. Peace.